Hello everybody, I'm Cloud Nebula, and welcome to the 39 steps. Okay, so we are at step 2 of our stair to the solution of this story, and we are on an unlikely visit. Resolved to leave England for the Cape, Hannah's outlook changes as a mysterious visitor drops by. Okay, let's go on with it then. An unlikely visit. Back with the toilet occupied, perhaps. Monday, 18th May 1914. Wimpole Street, London. Okay, so we are at home, I guess. Someone is coming to visit us. Apparently nobody. Or maybe that's me, perhaps. Open the door then.
Hey, can I speak to you? May I come in for a minute?
I recognized him as the occupant of a flat on the top floor, with whom I had passed the time of day on the stairs. Your private secret life, huh? He was slim, with a short brown beard and small, gimlety blue eyes. His hand was pawing at my arm. I motioned him in. Okay. I like this kind of quick time events evolution with the mouse to open just a door. No sooner was he over the threshold than he made a dash for my back room, where I used to smoke and write my letters. Then he bolted back.
Is the door locked?
Okay, if you wanted like a date with me, just ask, you know. I mean, there's no need to lock ourselves into this room. Unless you have wine. He filled himself with a stiff whiskey and soda and drank it off in 3 gulps. Cheers. I sat down in an armchair and lit my pipe. I was pretty certain that I had to deal with a madman. Maybe.
I'm very sorry. It's a mighty liberty, but you look like the kind of man who would understand. I've had you in my mind all this week when things got troublesome. Say, will you do me a good turn?
I'll listen to you. That's all I'll promise.
Pardon. I'm a bit rattled tonight. You see, I happen at this moment to be dead.
What does it feel like?
A smile flickered over his strong face. Like a ghost.
I'm not mad. Yet. Say, sir, I've been watching you, and I reckon you're a cool customer. I reckon, too, you're an honest man and not afraid of playing a bold hand. I'm gonna confide in you. I need help worse than any man ever needed it. I want to know if I can count you in.
Yeah, he wants a date with me. Also.
Get on with your yarn and I'll tell you.
Smoking like a boss. The queerest rigmarole. Franklin P. Scudder was an American from Kentucky. After college, being pretty well off, he started out to see the world. I like this animation. All cartoons. Portugal, France, Germany, and Serbia, Greece. He wrote a bit and acted as a war correspondent for a Chicago paper. Yeah, a number of he had played about with politics at first for interest, and then because he couldn't help himself. Then he made his discovery. He came to Italy. Hi. In the Alps, perhaps. Nobody sees you, like, there's one tree, of course. Yeah, sneak in. Away behind all the governments and the armies, there were a big subterranean movement going on, engineered by some very dangerous people, like Spectre of James Bond, perhaps, maybe. The sort of educated anarchists that make revolutions. Or maybe Karl Marx. And behind them were financiers who were playing for money. And this guy looks like Stalin. They wanted Russia and Germany at loggerheads. Yeah, I was right. Everything will be in the melting pot. The anarchists look to see a new world emerge, while the capitalists will make fortunes by buying up wreckage, and Scudder had himself convinced that Jewish men were behind it all. Oh, okay. So preparing for Nazis, right?
On the 15th day of June, Konstantin Karolides is coming to this city. The British Foreign Office has taken to having international tea parties, and the biggest of them is due on that date. Now, Karolides is reckoned the principal guest, and if my friends have their way, he will never return to his admiring countrymen.
I set up for that, for I had been reading about Karolides that very afternoon. Yeah, so maybe you had to...
Well, that's simple enough anyhow. You can warn him and keep him at home.
And play their game. If he does not come, they win, for he's the only man that can straighten out the tangle. And if his government are warned, he won't come, for he does not know how big the stakes will be on June the 15th.
I was beginning to get interested in the beggar. So we are supposed to prevent, like, a future war, First World War.
And what about the British government? They're not going to let their guests be murdered. Tip them the wink, and they'll take extra precautions.
No good. They might stuff your city with plainclothes detectives and double the police, and Constantine would still be a doomed man. He'll be murdered by an Austrian, and there'll be plenty of evidence to show the connivance of the big folk in Vienna and Berlin. It will all be an infernal lie, of course, but the case will look black enough to the world. But it's not going to come off if there's a certain man alive right here in London on the 15th day of June. And that man is going to be your servant, Franklin P. Scudder.
Very humble, this guy. I was getting to like the little chap. His jaw had shut like a rat trap. There was the fire of battle in his gimlety eyes.
Where did you find out this story?
I completed my evidence 10 days ago in Paris. I can't tell you the details now, for it's something of a history. But when I was quite sure in my own mind, I judged it my business to disappear. And I reached this city by a mighty queer circuit. Till yesterday I thought I had muddied my trail some, and was feeling pretty happy. Then...
The recollection seemed to upset him, and he gulped down some more whiskey.
Then I saw a man standing in the street outside this block. I used to stay close in my room all day, and only slip out after dark for an hour or two. I watched him for a bit from my window. I thought I recognized him. He came in and spoke to the porter. When I came back from my walk last night, I found a card in my letterbox. It bore the name of the man I want least to meet on God's earth.
I think that the look in my companion's eyes, the sheer naked scar on his face, has completed my conviction of his honesty.
What did you do next?
I realized I was bottled as sure as a pickled herring, and that there was only one way out. I had to die.
Interesting. Now he got my
attention. If
attention.
knew I was dead, they would go to sleep again.
How did you manage it?
How Scudder died. Let's see, step 1. I told the man who valets me that I was feeling pretty bad and got myself up to look like death. Maybe dead. That wasn't difficult, for I'm no slouch at disguises. Illness, okay, so this is... Okay, step 2. Then I got a corpse. You can always get a body in London if you know where to go for it. To Jack the Ripper, I'd say. I fetched it back in a trunk on the top of a four-wheeler, and I had to be assisted upstairs to my room. Okay. Step 3. I had to pile up evidence for the inquest, so I went to bed and got my man to mix me a sleeping draught, and then I told him to clear out. He wanted to fetch me a doctor, but I swore someone said I couldn't abide leeches. Nice plan you have here. Maybe if you could, bring a copy of this to your pursuers, they will be happy to know that you're still alive. When I was left alone, I started to fake up that corpse. He was my size, and I judged he had perished from too much alcohol, so I put some spirits about the place. The jaw was the weak point in the likeness, so I blew it away with a revolver. I dare say there would be somebody to swear having heard a shot, but there are no neighbors on my floor, and I guessed I could risk it. Okay, so this was the sound of that before. I left the body in bed dressed up in my pajamas with a revolver lying on the bedclothes and a considerable mess around. Then I got into a suit of clothes I had kept waiting for emergencies. I didn't wear shave for fear of leaving tracks, and besides it wasn't any kind of use in my trying to get to the streets. Okay, that was a good plan.
I had had you in my mind all day, and there seemed nothing to do but to make an appeal to you. I watched from my window till I saw you come home, and then slipped down the stair to meet you.
Yeah, sure. Now I know that you all invented this story just to be with me. He sat blinking like an owl, fluttering with nerves and desperately determined.
There, sir. I guess you know about as much as me of this business.
Again, quick time events. For what? For pouring whiskey in my glass. Well, thanks for that, game. I was now pretty well convinced that he was going straight with me. It was the wildest sort of narrative and narrator, but I had heard in my time many steep tales which had turned out to be true. And if he had wanted to get a location on my flat and then cut my throat, he would have pitched a milder yarn.
Hand me your key, and I'll take a look at the corpse. Excuse my caution, but I'm bound to verify a bit if I can.
I reckon you'd ask for that. But I haven't got it. It's on my chain on the dressing table. I had to leave it behind, for I couldn't leave any clues to breed suspicions. The gentry who are after me are pretty bright-eyed citizens. You'll have to take me on trust for the night, and tomorrow you'll get the proof of the corpse business right enough.
I thought for an instant or two, do I act this man or not?
Right. I'll trust you for the night. I'll lock you into this room and keep the key. Just one word, Mr. Scudder. I believe you're straight. But if so be you are not, I should warn you that I'm a handy man with a gun.
I haven't the privilege of your name, sir, but let me tell you that you're a true gentleman. Now, I'll thank you to lend me a razor.
Hot stuff, aye. I took him into my bedroom and turned him loose. Ooh, this is getting hot. In a half an hour's time, a figure came out that I scarcely recognized.
My hat, Mr. Scudder.
A new man. Similarities. Only his gimlety, hungry eyes were the same. Differences. He was the very model, even to the brown complexion, of some British officer who had had a long spell in India. He was shaved clean, his hair was parted in the middle, and he had cut his eyebrows. Okay, well done.
Not Mr. Scudder. Captain Theophilus Digby of the 40th Gurkhas. Presently home on leave. I'll thank you to remember that, sir.
So he also changed life. Boys, it's it. I made him a bed in the smoking room and sought my own couch, more cheerful than I had been for the past month. Okay, so they had sex, really. Things did happen occasionally, even in this forgotten metropolis. An unlikely visit, I'd say a very much appreciated visit. Okay, so I think that's it for today. For next time we'll doing the deeper into this mess step, along with the other 36. Yes. Okay, so I hope you'll enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you want me to continue the story, or maybe just bored enough with this one. And we'll see each other in the next episode. Remember, guys, if you can't sleep, the clowns are gonna eat thee. Good night.